Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and it looks like we finally got our studio in order, microphone working, lights working, camera working, and we couldn't have done it without all of your support out there. 55,000 strong. Even though my dashboard keeps telling me I'm losing subscribers and that I'm under 55,000 again, if you go over to my channel, it says I'm at like 55.5. I don't know what's going on. I do know that it seems like YouTube really doesn't care what my dashboard looks like because there's all sorts of a mess. But it's like, hey, we're not promoting him. We've already demonetized him fully. We're trying to get him off the platform. We don't like free speech here in America with a K. I mean, after all, we're YouTube and we're part of Google. We're part of the media, military, industrial complex Leviathan that is completely unaccountable and beholden to no one. Now, before we get into Kanye West, Cuomo, and Trump, I want to remind everybody the way to support me is through the Gofundme. $5, $10, $15. It means the world to me. Big donors need you now more than ever. But let's just jump right into it. It looks like it's time for a birthday party. And Kanye West says that he is going to run in 2020. Folks, the election is less than 4 months away. All right, I want people to put that into perspective. About 110 days away, maybe a little bit more. That's about it. And we have a drooling, senile, stuttering establishment muppet walking around going, Corn Pop was a bad dude. And we're to expect that this is not only going to be the nominee, but the person they're going to rig the election for. Let me repeat that. Rig the election for. New Jersey has already announced they will go full mail-in ballots for the upcoming 2020 elections. It's not just the presidential election either. Don't think that they're not going to try to steal House seats. Don't think that they're not going to try to steal Senate seats. That's exactly what is going to happen. So obviously, Kanye West is one of those polarizing figures that to me is cartoon level, right? All those that think that Kanye West would make a great politician, he's married to a Kardashian, guys. He's married to a Kardashian. Let me repeat that. He's married to a Kardashian, the main one. Okay? And if that whole thing, that whole family, that whole entertainment lifestyle doesn't scream to you mental illness, I don't know what to say. At the same time, when he says something like vaccines are the mark of the beast, I can't help but feel a little bit of love. Obviously, Kanye has been exposed to a lot of alt media in his days. Most entertainers are, folks. Most people in the music industry, in the film industry, etc., they get exposed to work like I put out. I was talking to my buddy a couple years ago, and he was on a set with Joaquin Phoenix, and Joaquin Phoenix just happened to ask him about 9/11 because he had been watching Loose Change and asked him what he thought about it. And, he kind of chuckled since me and him are really good friends and have known each other now. Geez, it's got to be close to 20 years, if not 20. Probably 17, 18 years. So these people are somewhat in the know of, alt media culture. The problem is that as alt as you think this is, and everything else that I've said, about the mental illness, the breakdowns, marrying into the Kardashians, being bipolar in many ways, trying to say that, he's not about materialism at times, having his own clothing line, being married to the Kardashians, promoting pop culture, promoting fashion, all these different things. I don't think that he would be fit to be president. Now, he's saying this. I don't know whether it's true or not. He posted an Instagram pic with Elon Musk, who is supposedly going to run his campaign. He says he has his full support, and there they are on July 1st. Again, Musk is another one of those figures that I don't trust. Okay, why would you trust an establishment billionaire technopoly pusher that's throwing Starlink satellites into the sky with the army, with the military, with DARPA. Okay? Why would you trust somebody that is running trials right now with Neuralink, where they have already successfully, let me repeat this one, successfully hooked a chimpanzee up to a computer through their device, which is really just like a Bluetooth receiver that's threaded into your brain through 4 very small, very thin fiber optic cables. And then, don't worry, there's going to be a little spot in your head, so when you got to pull that one out and put a new one in, they'll be able to do it. It'll be like getting your ear pierced. No big deal. It'll be part of the hive mind. So Kanye with Musk also not making me very happy. I don't think Kanye has a shot, obviously, but again, there'll be a lot of people that want to vote for him. Okay, and some of those people may have voted for Trump over Biden. I'm just going to throw that out there. So Cuomo holds a press conference today. This is the first one that I've been able to sit down and watch since I hit the road. Currently in St. Louis, Missouri, guys. Any cool folks in St. Louis, Missouri, hit me in the DMs on Twitter. Tell me where I should be going, what I should be checking out. I may spend even another day in here. It was nice to even sleep in and not hit the road for once and stay in the same hotel. Felt like a smart move because this is a pretty decent hotel at a decent price. So I'm watching it, and a lot of it is, Dick swinging against Trump, which has people speculating it's really going to be Cuomo at the last minute, Cuomo 2020, and not Joe Biden, because they keep sparring back and forth. I don't know if that's going to be the case. He's saying, blasting Trump for saying they need to open up schools, and Trump is saying if they don't reopen up schools in certain states, he's going to defund them. He's just not going to give them the funding they need. He's not going to give them support. Okay, I'm with that. Forget about the defund the police fraud. While Cuomo sits up there and talks about whether schools will open enough to reimagine the police force, what? He's totally dropped the fact that in the beginning of this, not even the beginning, the middle of this COVID-19 84 phenomenon, he was openly saying that if they did not get federal aid to the tune of $60+ billion, what was going to happen? Guess what? They were going to have to cut 20% of health, right? Okay, 20%. Oh, just 20% of health, Jason? That's all? Just 20%? 20% of schools? Oh, education's getting cut 20% too. Weird. Oh, yeah, and 20% of law enforcement. And that was 2 months ago now. Maybe more than 2 months ago. So how much are they really planning on cutting without getting federal? That's the real question. All right? And I think people need to be aware of that there's a lot of misnomers going out there, that there's a lot of false statements, etc. Okay? The big takeaway today that I had from Dictator Cuomo was it was one of the few times that he would admit a little bit of guilt without really admitting it. So one of the questions was during this, Rikers Island, the prison, Rikers Island, had let go, get ready for this, 1,500 inmates have been let go from Rikers Island due to COVID-19 84. Now, before this, we were already in the works of retroactively releasing prisoners with bail reform. It's not reform, it's no bail release, except for in the most egregious of cases. And a lot of people out there are like, you're kidding me, right? No, January 1st, before any of this, my genius of a governor decided it was okay to let out violent criminals. Again and again and again and again in a revolving door system. I'm not kidding. People are outraged in my communities. Period. They're outraged. The people were never for this. It was never, ever, ever, ever bail reform, folks. That's not what it was. Okay? So he brings up the fact that 1,500 were released during this period, and guess what? 13%. Let me repeat that. 13%. Guess what? Got rearrested afterwards. Some of them for violent crimes such as shootings, assaults, and even murders. Okay? So do the simple math on that. Okay? The very simple math on that is that 150, okay, plus 45, almost 200 of those inmates were rearrested and contributed to the violent crime. And even Cuomo had to admit, well, by definition, they must have contributed. Now, it was through no fault of his own. He tried to play it off. Oh, well, that's the prosecutor's fault. That's the court system's fault, etc. No. That's your fault, Cuomo. That's your fault. That's de Blasio. All right, that's all you people that wanted to release violent criminals without bail, wanted to reform the justice system. And I'm all for reforming an injustice system for non-violent drug-related crimes. Anybody in New York State in prison for marijuana charges, get them out of there. Get them out of there. We shouldn't have privatized prisons, by the way. It's a bad system, for sure. But are there violent criminals in New York that need to be in jail? Fuck yes, there are. Of course there are. It's a no-brainer. All right? So let's move on. Since, it's all COVID-1984 talk as well, Trump officially begins getting us out of the World Health Organization. Okay? And what's the press doing? Congress must stop Trump. Look, prior to COVID-1984, I wish that we had nothing to do with the World Health Organization. In fact, I am disgusted and disturbed how involved we are with the United Nations, period, which is a globalist institution of unelected bureaucrats and dictators that are puppeteered by a predator class. And the World Health Organization is simply a mouthpiece for that predator class that has continued to give us bad information, including in January saying there was no human-to-human transmission. And remember, the World Health Organization was a part of Event 201, along with the Chinese CDC and the American CDC and Johns Hopkins University and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and Johnson & Johnson and NBC Universal. Are you getting the picture? And the World Bank drilling a coronavirus outbreak from South America just before it actually happens. You can't make this stuff up. Drilling it back in October. So as much as I don't like the president and his policies, getting us out of the World Health Organization was the right thing to do before this. It is the right thing to do during this. And it will be the right thing to maintain after this. The next thing we do is we kick the entire United Nations out of the country. The UN building go bye-bye. Bye-bye, Mr. Cuomo. Bye-bye, out of New York. Get it out of here. Tell them to find somewhere else to run their racket, to run their collusion, to run their collectivist, globalist operation against the people. Period. Make it into a nice hotel, Trump. Nationalize it. Call it the People's Freedom Hotel or the People's Freedom Center. In fact, why don't you take everybody out of there and then use the conference rooms as offices for all the middle class and upper middle class cash business owners in New York City that no longer can afford an office or afford to operate, and give it to them for a year, 2 years, rent-free. Why don't we do that? So that they can sustain themselves. So that they can maybe not lose their business. So that they can basically push back against this massive consolidation of power that we are currently seeing in our society, not just in the United States, but around the globe. Okay? So folks, I want to thank you for joining me. If you want to support me, jasonisvoid@yahoo.com is the PayPal link, but the best way to support me, although that is a good way, is to support me through my Gofundme, $5, $10, $15. It means the world to me. You can check out all of my documentary films for free: Loose Change, Final Cut, Fabled Enemies, Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined, and Shade the Motion Picture. Make sure to thumbs the video up, subscribe, and share to the channel. Remember, all of those movies are in the documentaries playlist section right here. Over 1,300 videos fully demonetized on the platform. No end in sight. I want to remind people I am also on Rockfin. I was able to repost a couple things over there. May even do a Rockfin exclusive tonight. And if you are supporting me over on Rockfin, I apologize for not going live on Tuesday for free. But we might do an exclusive over there. Remember, you can follow me for free on Rockfin. If you do endorse me and you get all the premium content, you get all the exclusives, you get all the exclusives from Jimmy Dore, you get all the exclusives from John Fitch, Ben Askren, Graham Elwood, Ron Placone, The Convo Couch, Nico House, and others. So please check that out. And remember, folks, it is not about left or right. It will always be about right and wrong. And right now, we need to push back harder than ever. Do you understand? Harder than ever. Now is the time. Folks, I love you, and I'll see you on the flip side.